This week on Maker Update, Japanese demon juggling, more AI for Raspberry Pi, reality blocking glasses, lighting up the RF spectrum, and one-dimensional Space Invaders. Hey, I'm Donald Bell, and this is Maker Update, our weekly show covering the latest projects and tips from the community of smart, curious, crafty people just like you. I hope you're doing well. I've got a great show for you. Let's get started with the project of the week. Artist Neil Mendoza unveiled a new pair of kinetic sculptures he calls synthetic spirits. Both works borrow from the idea in Japanese folklore that everyday objects can acquire a spirit or yokai after a long period of time. So in each sculpture we see an object passing by a screen that seems to provide a glimpse of the colorful spirit monster hiding inside. In one sculpture we see these carefully choreographed sake bottles passing behind a pair of circular screens. In the other sculpture, there are two 3D printed feet in straw sandals that glide past these long rectangular screens. There's a lot to appreciate about these sculptures. From a mechanical engineering perspective, you have these clean, beautiful gears and linkages. And from a software perspective, you have these high-resolution screens that are showing a random selection of generative AI monsters constrained to the form of the 3D model passing behind it. But what impresses me the most, and I think this is the critical part of the illusion, is how Neil was able to synchronize these mechanical and software elements so perfectly. Intellectually, you can see how the trick works, but the effect is so pleasant and the transition is so seamless that you can't help but be mesmerized by it. In an interview with the Creative Applications blog, Neil delves into some of the details around how the sculptures were made and how the timing was synchronized so well. It seems to come down to a combination of precise motor control, using stepper motors instead of a geared DC motor, along with a rotary encoder in each piece to help track the path of each object before it hits the screen. You can learn more from the project links down in the description. Now for some news. Raspberry Pi has launched the second generation of their AI expansion board. This is the AI Hat Plus 2. It features a Halo 10H AI accelerator chip along with 8 GB of onboard RAM, and it's meant to be paired with a Raspberry Pi 5 computer board by stacking directly on top. The main selling point here seems to be the capability of running your own offline interactive AI system, either an LLM or a computer vision model, or a mix of both, while still keeping the processor and RAM of the Raspberry Pi board free to do other things. Where I'm sure to see this pop up is in interactive robotics projects. For example, you could have a companion robot around the house to spill your guts to, who's not connected to the internet and possibly sharing your data, or really just having an AI robotics project at all that you can use away from an internet connection. The board sells for $130. I'll leave a DigiKey link in the description if you want to pick one up. I'll also link to YouTuber Jeff Geerling's deep dive on its capabilities. More projects. Here's one actually that's a great case for offline computer vision. It's from Marina Fujiwara on the MUDA-ZUKURI channel. She's the queen of useless, funny projects. In this one, she's using the new Arduino Uno Q connected to some electronically controlled privacy film glasses. The idea is that every time the computer vision software on the Uno determines that it's looking at something messy, it turns the glasses opaque so that Marina doesn't have to look at it. When she turns her head to a clean corner of the room, the glasses go clear again. It's the ridiculously high-tech alternative to just shoving all your dirty clothes in the closet. Instead of dealing with the problem, you just hide it and feel better about yourself. For a project that in some ways does the opposite, check out this radio wave reactive lamp by Rootkid. And I mean radio in a broad sense. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular, anything that could be picked up by a software-defined radio receiver is essentially plotted onto this array of LED filament. One funny side effect from all these LED drivers powering the filament is that they make their own harmonic noise, turning the whole thing into a sound sculpture too. And finally, from Achim Weis, a new take on the 1D LED strip video game. Inspired by Robin Baumgarten's Line Wobbler, this is an open source game called 1D RGB Invader. You have 3 different colored buttons that shoot pixels of their respective color down the line of addressable LEDs. In order to eliminate the approaching enemy pixels, you have to shoot it with the matching color. The whole game runs on an inexpensive ESP32 board. The code, bill of materials, schematic, and 3D print files are all available using the link in the description. Now for a couple tips and tools. Another tool from Raspberry Pi, this one's free, is called USB Gadget Mode, and honestly, I think the name sorta undersells the feature. When you build a Raspberry Pi disk image, now you have an option you can toggle on called USB Gadget Mode. If it's enabled, you can interact with your Raspberry Pi and SSH into it simply by connecting it to your computer over USB. No more hassles getting your computer and your Pi connected to the same network. Your Pi essentially connects to your computer like a tethered smartphone and shares your computer's network connection automatically. It's a small thing, but to me it was one of the most annoying parts of setting up a new Raspberry Pi. Now it's closer to plugging in an Arduino. You can find a full rundown of the new feature on the Raspberry Pi blog. Here's another convenience that seems overdue, a breadboard designed for today's microcontroller size. While the pin spacing on an ESP32 style dev board can technically fit into a classic breadboard, you're left with virtually no space to wire anything. On Instructables, LHMO shares two designs for an updated 3D printable breadboard layout. One is designed for the width of an ESP32 style board, and the other is based on the width of a Raspberry Pi Pico. In both cases, you simply yank the spring contacts out of a standard breadboard and press them into the new layout. You get the same amount of pins, but now you can actually use them all. For this week's DigiKey Spotlight, check out the latest video from the bite-sized engineer. He's adapted an XRP robot to use a Lidar system for detecting and avoiding the world around it. It's a great idea, but how do you actually get it to work? How close is too close? And what action does it take once it decides it's too close to something? Zach walks us through all the logic and implementation and even how to get a robot like this connected to a Bluetooth game controller. Check it out. And that does it for this week's show. Be sure to subscribe, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment. A big thanks to DigiKey for making this show possible, and thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.